5 movies, 1 Omnitrix, and somehow nobody's ever put them all in one place. Most of you love Ben 10 as much as I do, and by now you've probably burned through recap after recap of the actual series. But here's the thing nobody's done: an actual recap of every single Ben 10 movie ever made. So today we're toon-maxing every Ben 10 movie ever released back to back, starting from The Secret of Omnitrix, which was released back in 2007. Animo kidnapped Gwen and Grandpa Max, and he's working on his DNA bomb when Ben shows up, transforming into Heat Blast. The moment Animo sees him, he sends his insect monster in to attack. Heat Blast makes short work of the creature, and then Ben turns his fire straight on Animo's DNA bomb, overloading it. The machine shuts down, but as it dies, it lets off a DNA wave, and the second that wave hits the Omnitrix, something inside it goes wrong. Animo tries to make a run for it with his monster still in tow, but Ben switches to gray matter and takes him down for good. Ben, Gwen, and Max head to Gwen's favorite spot, the mall. Gwen's picking out clothes when the Omnitrix suddenly lets off a burst of energy, and Ben goes flying straight into her. Mall security tosses all 3 of them out on the spot. That night, while they're sleeping it off, a massive spaceship shows up, and Tetrax steps out of it. Ben apologizes for wrecking the hoverboard Tetrax had given him. Tetrax isn't worried about the hoverboard, though. He tells Ben he picked up the Omnitrix's SDM signal, self-destruct mode, and that if the watch goes, Ben goes with it. That's the moment Ben finally understands why the Omnitrix has been acting up. Tetrax admits he doesn't know how to shut off the self-destruct himself. Only Azimuth, the Omnitrix's creator, knows how. Nobody's even sure where Azimuth is, since he lives off-world, but Tetrax's ship can trace his DNA signature through the Omnitrix and pin down his location. There are 4 Earth days left before the countdown runs out. Aboard the ship, Tetrax introduces Ben to his pilot, Gluto, and the 2 of them head off into space, leaving Gwen and Grandpa Max behind on Earth. Elsewhere, Vilgax is furious, still looking for payback after Ben sent him to the Null Void. One of his soldiers brings him word that Ben Tennyson is out in space. On the ship, Tetrax runs scans trying to pull Azimuth's DNA signature out of the Omnitrix. Once he finds it, the trail leads to Inkarsicon, the prison planet where the galaxy's worst are locked away. Tetrax tells Gluto to set a course for Inkarsicon, and that's when an alarm goes off, an intruder alert. Ben tries to transform into XLR-8 to deal with it. The Omnitrix gives him Wild Mutt instead. Wild Mutt tracks the intruder down, and it turns out to be Gwen, who snuck aboard. In the confusion, a button gets hit and the ship's hatch starts venting them out into space, but Tetrax gets there in time to seal it and save them. Gwen explains she came along to help Ben. Later, we catch Ben killing time on a skateboard simulator, and Gwen comes over to tell him he doesn't need to be so tense about all this. Ben lays out his plan. He and Tetrax will track down Azimuth, Azimuth will fix the watch, and then they'll deal with whatever alien threat comes next. Gwen and Tetrax have to correct him. The watch can't be fixed, only deactivated. And once that happens, Ben becomes a normal kid again. For good, no more transformations. Tetrax also warns him to hold off on transforming as much as possible, since every transformation speeds the countdown up. When they reach Inkarsicon, the checkpoint asks for a security password. Tetrax hands his over and clears it without trouble, and they're directed to Sanitation Disposal Bay number 4. Tetrax warns Ben and Gwen to stay close, since to a lot of the inmates down there, humans look like a meal. To help them blend in, he gives the 2 of them a stinkfly costume to wear while he clears the area. Unnoticed, 6-6 is already tailing them. While they wait, Ben spots who he's sure is Vilgax in the distance and transforms into Upchuck to attack. The fight blows Gwen's cover in front of the nearby prisoners, and at the same time, 6-6 jumps Tetrax. In the middle of it all, Ben realizes Vilgax isn't Vilgax at all, just a female of the same species, and she throws him straight at Gwen. Word spreads fast among the inmates that this is the kid with the Omnitrix, and they close in to attack. After getting the better, Tetrax steps in and fights the mob off instead, clearing them out one by one. In the chaos, the female alien makes her way to Ben, who's now convinced she must be Azimuth. She tells him to get her out of this sewer of a planet, and Gluto swoops in with the ship, just in time for all of them to fight their way out. Once they're clear, she scans the Omnitrix herself and comes clean. She isn't Azimuth. Her name is Myax, and she'd swapped her own DNA signature into the watch in place of Azimuth's, since she'd helped build the Omnitrix too, and wanted the credit for it. Tetrax, furious, demands a reason not to send her right back to Inkarsicon. She gives him one. She knows exactly where Azimuth is on the planet Xenon. The name alone is enough to make Tetrax go quiet. Ben starts to spiral, convinced. There's no way out now that he's going to be destroyed, no matter what they do. That's when Myax turns on Tetrax and tells him he never gave Ben the full picture. If the Omnitrix goes off, the blast won't just kill Ben, it'll take out the entire universe, Earth included. Back on Inkarsicon, Vilgax has arrived and linked up with 66, still with no real idea what Ben is actually trying to do. Meanwhile, Tetrax's ship approaches Xenon, and the problem is immediately obvious. There's no light anywhere near it. Azimuth has deliberately blacked the whole area out, asteroid belt included, so the only way to find the planet is through the Omnitrix itself. Ben heads out onto the hull, and the watch's dial starts guiding him toward it, until finally the Omnitrix fires off a beam of green light that reveals exactly where Xenon is. The moment they arrive, Vilgax's ship attacks. Tetrax sends Ben out in an escape pod for safety and holds the line against Vilgax's soldiers, while Ben gets the hang of the pod fast enough to fend off the small drones coming after him. Vilgax and his team storm the ship's control center, and Gluto tries to hold him off, but Vilgax destroys him in the process. Tetrax signals Ben to get back inside. As they're about to regroup, 66 goes after Tetrax and Myax, and Ben knocking 66's helmet clean off. At the same time, a soldier moves in on Gwen inside the ship, and Gluto reappears just in time to save her, only to be destroyed again in the process. Ben fights his way back inside, running straight into Vilgax, and has to make a break for it. Tetrax and Myax cut the cables tethering Vilgax to the ship, and Ben throws open the main hatch, letting the rush of escaping air blast Vilgax straight out into space. With Vilgax gone, but the ship badly damaged, they're heading for a crash landing on Xenon. Gwen scrambles to take the controls with Ben's help, but the ship goes down hard anyway. Once they're out, they set off toward Azimuth's location on a hoverboard, only to find he isn't there, just a pack of wild Floranas ready to attack. Ben fights them off with a dropped laser gun until it's knocked out of his hands. One of the creatures is about to strike him when Gwen shoves him out of the way and gets snatched up herself. Ben transforms into 4 arms and throws everything he has at them, but it isn't enough to get her back. The group presses on without her, and as they go, Tetrax finally opens up about his own past. A freelance gun-for-hire who worked for whoever paid him best, until the day Vilgax hired him for a job that ended with Vilgax wiping out Tetrax's entire home planet. Tetrax swore afterward that he'd never let a weapon that powerful fall into Vilgax's hands again. They finally reach Azimuth, who appears to them as a hologram. Ben explains everything: the self-destruct, the search across the galaxy to stop it, losing Gwen along the way. Azimuth's answer is ice cold. He doesn't care what happens to the world, or to the Omnitrix. Ben doesn't take that well. He transforms into Cannonbolt, smashes through the security doors, and attacks, destroying Azimuth's biosuit in the process, only to find out the actual creator of the Omnitrix is a Galvan, the same species as gray matter. Azimuth tells him flatly that he wants both the Omnitrix and the universe gone, since as far as he's concerned, there's no real difference between Ben and Vilgax. Ben pushes back, listing everyone he's saved because of the watch. Before it can go any further, an explosion cuts them off. Vilgax has arrived with his full army to meet Azimuth, and at his command, soldiers, giant drones, and mini drones swarm in from every side. In the middle of the fighting, Gwen and Gluto, both of them come back very much alive. The fight breaks out for real now. Ben loses his laser gun and gets boxed in by several giant robots, but the moment he raises the Omnitrix, it lets off a burst of radiation that drops every robot, drone, and soldier around him. Azimuth steps in, deactivates the Omnitrix, and pulls its core. Ben tells Vilgax the watch is dead now, so there's no reason to keep fighting, but Vilgax reveals what he actually came for. He wants Azimuth to build him something even more powerful than the Omnitrix ever was. Vilgax's army goes right back to attacking. In the middle of it, Ben tells Gwen he's useless without the Omnitrix. Gwen fires back with a line that sounds like it's straight out of Iron Man. It was never about the suit, it was about the person wearing it. In other words, it was never about the watch, it was about him. That's when Azimuth hands the Omnitrix's core back to Ben, fully repaired, and lets him transform. For the first time in the entire series, Ben becomes way big. Way big towers over the battlefield, swatting Vilgax's drones and robots aside like they're nothing, before grabbing Vilgax himself and hurling him clean off the planet. Azimuth patches up one of the damaged drones so he and Myax can leave together, and Tetrax drops Ben and Gwen back home on Earth. The moment they land, an announcement comes in. A zombie alien is attacking them all. Ben already knows what that means. It's hero time again, and that's where the movie ends. Now let's move on straight to the live action stuff released back in 2007. 7. Yup, that classic race against time, where the story kicks off with a mysterious stranger showing up in Bellwood and tearing into everything nearby. Ben shows up as Heat Blast to confront him, but just as the fight's about to start, the police and a few thugs get in the way and try to hold Ben back. Heat Blast blows through the thugs easily and turns straight on the mystery man, who vanishes before the fight can really begin. Gwen and Grandpa Max show up and tell Ben to get to bed before his parents. Notice he's still up, since he's got school in the morning. Next thing we know, Ben's riding his bike straight to school, summer vacation finally over. He runs into Gwen and asks to borrow her notes, but she refuses, figuring he spent the whole break fighting monsters instead of studying. Sure enough, Ben finds out he got a D on a test, tries to salvage the day with some sports, and that doesn't go any better either. That's when Cash and JT show up to bully him, jamming gum into his locker. If those two don't ring a bell, you'll know them the second they show up on screen. Looking for payback, Ben throws the gum-covered paper ball back, and it nails Principal White right in the face. The school calls his parents immediately, and we cut to Ben having lunch with them. Both his parents ask why he doesn't just play with friends outside instead of hanging around Grandpa Max all the time. Ben tells them Grandpa Max is more fun. His mom asks what exactly he enjoyed about riding around in that old junker all summer, and Ben tells her its name is the Rust Bucket, and he loved every second of it. Later, Ben tells Grandpa Max school is boring and they should go do something else. Grandpa tells him school isn't boring and that he needs to go and live like a normal kid for once. Deep down, Ben just wants everyone to know he's a superhero and like him for it. But Grandpa Max reminds him the secret has to stay a secret. Meanwhile, we check back in on the mystery man. His name is Eon, and by now, most Ben 10 fans have probably already guessed that. He's furious with his thugs for failing to bring Ben to him, and in a floating bubble of light, we catch a glimpse of what he's really after. A fleet of spaceships heading for Earth. Back at school, Ben doesn't want to be left out of anything, so he ends up having to pick some group to join. He walks up to a group of girls and asks to be added to their talent show act. They laugh him off and turn him down, and he's about to just use the Omnitrix to force the issue when Gwen stops him. He wanders over to Mrs. Dalton's smoothie shop instead, sipping a drink and thinking that Earth is so boring it might as well be the null void. Nearby, a man is reading a newspaper with a story about Wild Mutt on the front page, and Ben can't help reading over his shoulder. Cash and JT show up again to mock him, and the girls from the talent show turn up too, teasing him right along with them. Fed up, Ben tries to transform into forearms, but the Omnitrix gives him gray matter instead. He kills the lights in the shop and starts messing with the machines, and when the power comes back on, every smoothie and snack in the places goes flying, splattering Cash, JT, and the girls head to toe. Their clothes are ruined, and they storm out in a huff while Ben walks away pretty pleased with himself. Later, Ben finds Gwen transferring photos from her camera to her laptop. One of the shots has Ben in it, and when Gwen sharpens up a blurry spot in the background, Eon's face appears in the photo. She asks Grandpa Max if he knows who that is, and Max tells her every plumber knows him. That's Eon, captured almost 2 centuries ago. When they caught him, he was half dead and carrying a device called the Hands of Armageddon, a kind of portal machine built as a bridge between the alien world and Earth. Grandpa Max tells them to pack their things, because they're going on a trip. He takes them to the old plumber facility, where Eon had once been contained. Inside, they find a shattered containment pod and wreckage scattered everywhere, all Eon's doing. Tucked in the corner is the guard who kept watch over him, an old man barely alive. Before he goes, he warns them not to let Eon reach the hardware store, and tells them Eon already knows about Ben and is coming for him. Grandpa Max leads Ben and Gwen to that same hardware store, where they find a hidden lift. Unnoticed, one of Eon's spies watches them the whole time. The lift takes them down to the plumber's real headquarters. Down there, Ben runs into familiar faces. Mrs. Dalton, the postman, even his teacher. All of them secretly plumbers this whole time. They show him the Hands of Armageddon itself, a circular device the plumbers have tried and failed to destroy for years. They fought Eon back when they were young, but they're old now, which means it's on Ben to finish the job. Just then, word comes that an intruder has broken in, and the plumbers grab their weapon. Eon's thugs storm the base and attack, and Eon himself teleports in right behind them. He goes straight for Ben and catches him, but Ben breaks free and tries to make a run for it. He goes for the Omnitrix, only to find it's not working. He grabs a bicycle instead and tries to pedal away, but Eon catches up to him anyway. Eon tells him he needs the Omnitrix to save his people. Ben refuses. That's when Grandpa fires on Eon, the same figure, it turns out, who'd been sitting there reading that Wild Mutt headline back at the smoothie shop the whole time. When Ben gets home, his worried parents ask where he's been, and he covers by telling them he's just rehearsing for a talent show with his cousin Gwen. Later that night, Grandpa Max comes to Ben's room and tells him Eon is too dangerous and that they need to move him somewhere safe. Ben pushes back at first, but Grandpa eventually gets through to him. The next day at school, Gwen shows Ben she's picked up a few tricks for their talent show act, but Ben just walks off and sits alone in the gym. Principal White comes over and tells him he's there if Ben ever needs to talk. A short scuffle breaks out between them, and the moment other kids start showing up, Eon vanishes into thin air, leaving Ben so rattled, he bolts straight into the girls' washroom. Later, Ben and Gwen are sitting together when Grandpa Max asks why they're off on their own. Gwen explains Ben wants to set a trap for Eon. Sure enough, Eon sees through it. The rust bucket ends up destroyed, and Eon captures all three of them. Back at the plumber's base, everyone's already been rounded up and locked away, and now Grandpa, Ben, and Gwen are strung up right alongside them. Eon turns to Ben and asks why the Omnitrix only gives him 10 minutes in any one form. Ben says it's so he can get his work done fast. Eon corrects him. It's actually a safeguard, so the aliens whose DNA powers the Omnitrix can never fully take him over. Eon explains that he needs the Omnitrix to revive his people using the hands of Armageddon, and to do that, he has to break that 10-minute lock. He tells Ben that Grandpa Max always knew he'd come looking for him eventually, and that his own body keeps getting weaker with every jump he makes across time. He also mentions he carries the DNA of the very creature that once overpowered Ben and tore through everything around it. His plan becomes clear. Use the Omnitrix to slip into Ben's body the moment Ben transforms, and take him over completely. It works. Ben's Omnitrix triggers, and he transforms into a young version of Eon himself, while the older Eon slips away. The Ben-turned Eon starts stirring up his people through the machine. Grandpa Max breaks free through the laser grid and lunges for the cables on the machine. Really, he's going after Ben, still trapped in Eon's form. Around the same time, Mrs. Dalton, the postman, and the rest of the disguised plumbers move in to free everyone still locked up, then grab their weapons and head out to take Eon down for good. While Grandpa Max works both cables into the machine trying to shut it down, Gwen tries reaching Ben directly, reminding him of everything they've been through together. The moment the plumbers arrive, Eon's thugs move to cut them off. Gwen's words finally get through. Ben snaps back to himself and turns on Eon's thugs alongside the others, and together they manage to save Grandpa. They shut the machine down, and every alien ship that had been closing in on Earth simply disappears. Just as everyone starts to relax, the people around Ben freeze in place, and the older Eon reappears to attack. Ben transforms into Wild Mutt and slams him straight into the hands of Armageddon, destroying the device and taking Eon down with it for good. Back at school, the talent show is wrapping up. The dance groups have all performed, and it's finally down to Ben and Gwen's turn, except they're nowhere to be found. Then Ben shows up as Wild Mutt, and the announcer takes one look and bolts. Gwen rushes over and notices the Omnitrix flashing red, which means Ben's about to change back any second, so she throws a curtain over him just in time for him to step out looking normal again. In the end, Ben and Gwen walk away with second prize. As the movie wraps up, Ben, Gwen, and Grandpa Max head out to grab a bite to eat. In the very last shot, something streaks across the sky. It almost looks like a rocket, or maybe the Omnitrix itself falling and changing course, like it's heading somewhere new. Now let's move on to another classic live action, where our Ben is adult now and wanted to save his chick, as the story is based on the timeline of Alien Swarm and was released in 2009. The story opens with Kevin taking his car out to an old warehouse in Bellwood, meeting up with a dealer looking to sell him something rare. Right behind the dealer, 3 more people roll up on bikes to show off the item, and that's when Gwen and Ben arrive too. One of the bikers pulls off her helmet and calls the group out as plumbers, the ones who stop aliens from reaching Earth. Ben and Gwen recognize her immediately. It's Elena. And Gwen mentions her dad used to be a plumber too, before he and Elena left town one day. Elena tells Ben she needs him because she has to find her father. From a distance unnoticed, an old man watches the whole exchange. Suddenly, the nanotech chips inside their storage tube shatter it open and come pouring out, merging together and turning on. everyone in the room one by one. The other two bikers who'd come with the dealer take off the second the attack starts. Ben grabs one of the chips and realizes right away, this isn't ordinary tech, it's alien nanotech. Looking up, he spots the old man controlling the swarm from above. Ben tries to transform into Spider Monkey, but the Omnitrix gives him Big Chill instead. Gwen jumps in to help, and between the chaos, Kevin and Gwen start suspecting this whole thing might be Elena's doing. Ben manages to round up all the loose chips using his powers, and by the time it's over, the old man's vanished, and so has Elena. The three of them head back to Bellwood Motors, planning to ask Grandpa Max what he knows about Elena's father. Down in the lab, they run tests on the nanotech and discover it's actually alive. Just as Grandpa Max is about to take a look at it himself, a security alert goes off, and when they check it out, Elena's the one who's snuck in. Max immediately tells her to leave. Elena doesn't hold back, telling them the truth. Grandpa Max cut her and her father loose once before, and now that she actually needs help, they're refusing to give it to her again. Max shoots back that she's lying, that both she and her father, Victor Validus, have always been liars. He brings them into his lab and explains that Victor used to be one of the most brilliant scientists the plumbers had. Someone who fought alongside Max through plenty of alien conflicts and had practically earned this very lab. But one day the plumbers caught him stealing alien technology, and that was the end of it. Ben doesn't like the way Grandpa Max is treating this at all. All he wants is to help his friend. Max insists Elena and her whole family are blacklisted, off limits, not to be trusted, and that the same technology that attacked them earlier is the very tech Victor stole in the first place. Ben tracks Elena down on her bike anyway, and the two of them agree on a plan: find and save her father. Back at the lab, Gwen turns to Kevin, who's already digging through confidential files, trying to identify the alien tech. If there's anything on record about it, it'll be buried somewhere in Grandpa Max's archives. He just doesn't have the password yet, so he keeps working at it. Elsewhere, we catch up with Victor Validus himself. When a couple of men try to mug him in a bad part of town, he turns the tables completely, using the alien tech to take control of them instead. Meanwhile, Ben and Elena race across town on their bikes, moving like they're straight out of a MotoGP, until they reach the place Victor's been operating out of. And once Elena and Ben sneak inside to look around, they realize the alien technology is actively being upgraded. Elena tells Ben her father warned the plumbers early on that these chips were dangerous, but nobody listened to her. While they're there, Ben also comes across the blueprints for something called Ship It. Just as they're about to slip out, a crowd of people, all clearly under the chip's control, surrounds them and says they want Ben to come meet the Queen. Ben tries to transform to fight back, but the Omnitrix keeps glitching and failing him. He and Elena decide their best move is to run, but by the time they get outside, the controlled crowd is already moving to surround the whole city block. Ben blasts them back with a burst of energy from the Omnitrix, hops on the bike with Elena, and takes off, deciding their next move is to head straight for Ship It's distribution site. Back with Gwen and Kevin, they found a recording of Victor warning Max Tennyson over and over that these chips are dangerous. Max doesn't buy it in the recording, accusing Victor of just trying to sell the tech off instead. That's enough to convince Kevin and Gwen that Ben's actually been right about Elena all along, and together they track down the location of the chip, the Ship It distribution center, where the largest concentration is. Gwen and Kevin head there next, but once they arrive and start digging around, they come up empty, so they shift to searching for the blueprints instead. A worker spots them and tells them the area's closed, that they'll need to come back later, then adds that Kevin should really go meet the Queen and fall in line. Kevin decks him without a second thought and heads straight for his car to leave. That's when the chips attack. Kevin floors it and speeds away, watching in the mirror as the swarm reshapes itself into a ball, then splits into 3 separate ones chasing him down. As he pushes the car harder, one of the balls morphs again into a spiked shape and keeps pace right behind him. Around the same time, Ben hears the roar of Kevin's engine nearby and realizes Kevin and Gwen must be close. The spiked ball slams straight into Kevin's car, flipping it. Gwen and Kevin scramble out just as the remaining chips fuse into one massive spiked sphere, ready to crush them. Right as it's about to come down on them, Ben transforms into Humongosaur and gets there just in time, tearing into the chip balls one at a time until they're destroyed. But the chips regroup again, twisting themselves into a massive tornado shape. And with no better option, Ben grabs Kevin's car and hurls it straight into the swarm. The impact sets off a blast that finally wipes them out. Kevin, understandably, is furious, cursing Ben out for wrecking his car over what he sees as nothing. He's even angrier at Elena, blaming her for the whole mess. Still, the group regroups and decides their next move is to scan the chips for more information. Back in the lab, Grandpa Max is glued to the news. Reports are pouring in from Barcelona, Rome, and cities everywhere about alien attacks breaking out worldwide. Ben brings Elena in and tells him these are Validus's chips, and they've gone fully active. Grandpa doesn't want to believe it at first, but once Gwen and Kevin back Ben up, he starts coming around. He still can't wrap his head around how something that's just hardware could be alive. And Ben explains that these chips can burrow into the human brain and take full control. Every controlled person keeps saying the same thing, over and over, support the queen, which means there has to be an actual queen behind all of it. Kill her, and every chip tied to her should go down too. They manage to pin down the general location, and Grandpa splits up the work. Kevin handles gathering supplies beyond just weapons. Gwen focuses on figuring out how to break the link between the chips and the human brain, and Ben's job is nailing down the exact coordinates of the swarm. At one point, a stray chip slips out of its petri dish and creeps toward Grandpa Max without anyone noticing. We get a quick montage of everyone grinding through the work late into the night until they finally crash from exhaustion. During one of these quieter moments, Elena thanks Ben for everything he's doing to help her. Later, Ben walks in on Grandpa Max, who suddenly lashes out and tries to attack him. Everyone rushes over asking if Max is okay, and one look at his face makes it clear. He's been possessed by the chip too. Max hits a button and smoke floods the whole room. After digging further, the team discovers every alien chip in existence has been funneled to the Ship It World Distribution Center, which becomes the obvious next target. The problem is they don't have a working vehicle anymore, since Kevin's car got destroyed. Kevin leads them to Bellwood Motors, where it turns out he's actually been secretly building a car for Ben's birthday. It's a great car, just missing any kind of defensive upgrades, since Kevin had planned on giving it to Ben down the road. Ben immediately calls dibs on driving it. Kevin hesitates and asks for a minute to think it over, so Ben threatens to just transform into Humongosaur and pitch the whole car into the Mississippi River if he says no. Kevin caves, and Ben ends up behind the wheel, clearly loving every second of it. When they finally reach the distribution center, it's clear everyone inside has already been taken over, with millions of chips being manufactured non-stop across rows of containers and shipped out from there. Once they make their way inside, they find Grandpa Max, and then they find Victor, his body wrapped in pipes with chips pouring directly out of him. It becomes clear the Queen is using Victor's body as her source, mass-producing chips and sending them out across the world through her. Kevin's first instinct is that they need to kill Victor immediately to stop it, but Elena refuses, insisting her father can still be saved. Ben starts working out a way to stop the chips without losing Victor. He realizes that all the chips manufactured so far haven't actually been activated yet, which briefly has him considering just going full force as Humongosaur or even Alien X and tearing the whole place down. Gwen and Kevin talk him out of it. Instead, Ben gets an idea. Scan the chips and transform into one of them himself, the alien form that'll come to be known as Nanomech. Gwen isn't thrilled about it, pointing out that even if it works, there's no guarantee he won't end up under the Queen's control just like everyone else. Before they can debate it further, a crowd of possessed people closes in on them, and Ben goes ahead and transforms anyway. Already tiny to begin with, Ben shrinks down even further as the transformation finishes, then flies straight for Victor, slipping down into his nose to get inside. Just as he's about to reach the brain, he can feel the Queen already starting to take hold of him. Elena, Gwen, and Kevin are trying to fend off the swarm of possessed people without actually hurting any of them. But the pressure keeps building until all three finally have no choice but to fight back for real. Inside, the Queen has fully seized control of Ben and is determined to destroy him completely, deliberately trying to activate every chip that's been made so far. In the fight that follows, Ben manages to turn it around, blasting her with an electrical current and destroying her for good. The instant the Queen falls, everyone under her control snaps back to normal, and every chip tied to her shuts down automatically. Ben makes his way back out, and Elena rushes to her father's side. Grandpa Max is thrilled to see Ben safe, especially since his plan actually worked. He didn't have to sacrifice Elena's dad to pull it off, and on top of that, he saved the world. All the people who'd been wandering around under the Queen's control have no idea what they were even doing there, so they quietly head home. Victor thanks Ben personally for everything. Kevin asks for his car keys back, but Ben just refuses, telling him he's the one driving now, and takes off in his brand new car at full speed as the story wraps up. Well, after these live action, let's move to the 3D stuff. When Destroy All Alien was released back in 2012, and became one of my favorite of all time. The story opens with police chasing down a rogue tank, tearing through Bellwood, smashing cars left and right. Ben, Gwen, and Grandpa Max catch up to it, and Grandpa hops out of the van to take it on himself with his laser gun. Ben immediately tries to jump in as Upgrade, but Gwen stops him, telling him to let her handle this one. In the middle of the fight, Ben ends up controlling the tank through Upgrade, and Gwen finishes it off with a blast of electricity that fries every weak point on the thing, snapping Ben back to his normal form. From there, we drop into one of Ben's dreams. He's cruising along on a skateboard when Heat Blast comes at him, then Four Arms, then Diamond Head, then Stinkfly, then Wild Mutt, then Upgrade, one after another, all of his own aliens turning on him. Right as Way Big shows up to finish the job, Ben jolts awake. He's actually asleep at his desk in class. He hands his teacher his homework, and as he heads out, Cash and JT catch him at his locker, bully him, and shove him inside, where he bursts back out as Heat Blast. The second his parents knock on his door, he snaps back to normal, though they still want to know where that burn mark on his shirt came from, and Ben's got nothing. On top of that, his parents get a complaint that he was caught sleeping in class, so they ground him to his room. Later, Ben's doing homework on his laptop, when the Omnitrix suddenly absorbs it right off his desk. That's when Tetrax shows up and takes Ben with him, explaining that Azimuth wants to see him. When they arrive, Ben assumes Azimuth's about to whisk him off somewhere, and tells Tetrax he'd rather go find Azimuth himself. Right then, the Omnitrix flares up, and Ben crashes straight into a truck. Before he can get his bearings, a massive Way Big looms over him, ready to strike, and Tetrax swoops in just in time to save him. Ben tries to transform into Way Big himself to fight back, but the Omnitrix gives him Stinkfly instead. Tetrax tells him Way Big's weak spot is the top of its head. Hit that, and it'll go down. Ben tries to fly up like Stinkfly, but his transformation cuts out midair. Before he can fall, some kind of energy surge hits him, he drops, and the giant Way Big vanishes into thin air. Tetrax catches him and thanks him for the save. With that settled, Ben boards Tetrax's ship, and once he's inside, Tetrax quietly adjusts some settings on the Omnitrix, something he says he'll explain later. The moment they take off, the ship comes under attack, and Ben gets knocked clean out of it, transforming into Diamond Head to cushion the fall. Meanwhile, Gwen and Grandpa Max head into the forest looking for him, and that's where they spot the wreck of the truck Ben had crashed into earlier, which turns out to actually be some kind of ship. Tetrax's ship arrives overhead, and Ben, hoping to catch a ride once he's back to normal, instead finds himself locked, all because of whatever setting Tetrax put on his watch. As Ben pushes forward, an alien warrior steps into his path, and the fight kicks off between them. This is Retaliator, though nobody knows that yet. Mid-fight, Retaliator tells Ben he needs help finding someone, though Ben has no idea who he's talking about. Retaliator shifts into a heavier combat form and starts launching missiles, which Ben catches and throws right back at him. The fight drags on, Ben grabbing whatever rubble he can find to fight back with, and every time he's about to shift back to human, the Omnitrix locks him into Upgrade instead. It turns out Retaliator had actually been hunting a Tetramand, a Four Arms, and only now realizes Ben isn't the one he's after, so he turns his aggression on Upgrade instead. And Ben, still stuck as Upgrade, ends up merging directly into him. The two of them teleport straight to Christ the Redeemer in Rio de Janeiro, still fighting. Retaliator manages to shock Ben with an electric jolt and tells him he knows Ben's connected to Azimuth somehow. Ben offers to help him, but Retaliator just grabs him and teleports again, this time to Egypt, where Ben switches to Stinkfly and manages to glue him down and slip away. They teleport once more, this time to Bellwood. Back with Tetrax, he's filling Grandpa Max in on everything, including the setting he secretly added to Ben's Omnitrix. That's when Max spots Azimuth's ship nearby, and if you've been paying attention, you've probably already guessed it's the very same ship all the way back when this whole thing started. Retaliator keeps hounding Stinkfly, but Ben switches to Heat Blast and goes on the attack. Retaliator catches up to him right as the transformation finishes, and just as he's about to grab him, Ben shifts into gray matter and slips away. Meanwhile, Grandpa Max and Tetrax head inside Azimuth's ship and discover Azimuth had been searching for something connected to the Omnitrix. Azimuth himself is on his way when his ship collides with a truck and crashes. That's when a massive Way Big shows up. Retaliator arrives too, demanding to know where Azimuth is, and Tetrax holds him off with his crystal shard weapon. When Max tries asking about Ben, Retaliator has no idea what he's talking about, and rather than answer, he triggers the ship's self-destruct and teleports away. Azimuth's ship goes up in the explosion, but Gwen's mana saves everyone just in time. Back at Ben's house, he's still stuck as gray matter and rings his own doorbell. Right as he's about to transform back, his mom attacks him on instinct, and he flips into Diamond Head, the sight of which is enough to knock her out cold. And Grandpa knocks Ben's dad out too, just to be safe. Grandpa finally tracks Ben down, and Tetrax arrives to fix his watch for good. But that's exactly when Retaliator catches up again, grabbing Ben. The moment Ben turns back to normal, Retaliator realizes he's been chasing down nothing more than an ordinary kid. Right then, the Omnitrix lights up again, and just as Tetrax and Gwen rush toward him, a blinding flash goes off, and when it clears, Grandpa realizes everyone's gone, with only Ben's watch left behind on the ground. Gwen and Tetrax find themselves somewhere completely different, while Retaliator and Ben end up in what looks like a village belonging to Diamond Head species. A swarm of stinkflies attacks them there, so Retaliator powers up again and pushes forward with Ben in tow. Elsewhere, a whole pack of wild mutts closes in on Tetrax and Gwen, forcing them to burn through their remaining strength just to reach the safety of another building. By now, it's pretty clear to everyone. They're all trapped somewhere inside the Omnitrix itself. Gwen teleports over to find Tetrax, who's stunned to realize this place resembles his own homeworld. As Retaliator pushes forward with Ben, Gwen manages to trap him using her mana. Cornered, Retaliator finally comes clean. Azimuth is his son, and he hasn't seen him in ages, not since Azimuth left their home planet, Galvan Prime. But recently, Azimuth had come back to visit, and told his father about meeting someone on Earth who reminded him what family really meant, that someone being Ben. Not long after, Retaliator picked up a distress signal and feared the worst, that some massive alien had killed his son. Coming to investigate, he'd spotted a flying ship, and opened fire on it without realizing it belonged to Tetrax, throwing Ben off course in the first place. Gwen turns to Ben and asks how he managed to take down that giant alien earlier. Ben tells her that right as he landed on its head, a beam of light just vanished into the Omnitrix. Checking his laptop, they finally piece it together. The Omnitrix hasn't been destroying anything at all this whole time. It's been absorbing everything into itself. Just as they realize this, the giant alien reappears, and Retaliator immediately goes after it, still convinced it's the thing that killed his son, with no idea he's actually attacking Azimuth himself. Gwen tries to stop him, so he turns and attacks Max instead, sending Gwen and Ben plummeting, though Gwen catches them both with her mana before they hit the ground. In the fighting that follows, Retaliator finally goes down. Back outside, Grandpa Max is fiddling with the Omnitrix when it suddenly lights up, and everyone gets pulled back to Earth through it. The giant alien starts making its way toward the city, and right then, Ben's Omnitrix flares up again, transforming both of his parents, who just walked outside, into Wild Mutt and Heat Blast. Just as Retaliator's about to strike down the giant alien for good, it grabs him and throws him aside instead. Tetrax and Gwen have to keep pulling Ben out of harm's way, since his own transformed parents keep attacking him without meaning to. In the chaos, they finally piece together the full picture. That giant alien is actually Azimuth, and the Omnitrix transformed both him and Ben's parents the moment Ben's watch collided with that truck earlier. Tetrax tells Ben that he and Grandpa will handle calming down his parents, while Ben and Gwen go stop Azimuth and his father. Ben transforms into Way Big, keeping Gwen close, right as Azimuth accidentally knocks his own father down. Ben moves in to hold Azimuth back, even landing a solid throw on him mid-fight. Seeing Ben in Way Big form again, Retaliator briefly mistakes him for another threat like the one he thinks killed his son, and turns his attack on Ben until they all realize the real giant, the one Retaliator originally set out to fight, has woken back up. Ben and Azimuth keep fighting while Gwen finally gets through to Retaliator, telling him flat out that the alien he's been battling this whole time is his own son. The instant Gwen tries to reach Azimuth directly, he lashes out and catches Ben with a jolt of electricity, strong enough to snap him back to human form. Gwen reaches into Azimuth's mind with her mana, desperately trying to help him remember how to undo the malfunction and fix the Omnitrix. Azimuth grabs hold of both Ben and Gwen, and once his father catches up, grabs him too, combining his father's mechamorph abilities with the Omnitrix in one burst of crackling energy. When the light clears, Azimuth is back in his normal form. He explains to Ben that his ship had been picking up a faulty reading from the Omnitrix, and the second he touched down on Earth, that malfunction transformed him into Way Big without warning. Ben apologizes for the mix-up. Retaliator powers down too, revealing that underneath the armor, he's actually a Galvan just like Asmuth, the same species as Grey Matter, wearing a suit of mechamorph-style battle armor the whole time. Asmuth and his father share a long overdue, happy reunion. Everyone teleports back to find Ben's parents still stuck fighting each other, and together, they use their combined power to finally bring them back to normal. Asmuth greets Grandpa Max warmly, and just as they're all ready to head home, they overhear Ben grumbling about the state of Grandpa's van. Asmuth powers up once more and repairs the rust bucket on the spot before heading home with his father. Tetrax takes off in his own ship not long after. As Ben heads off with Grandpa, still going on about his own personal age of extinction doctor, Animo turns up out of nowhere with some new mutant creature of his. And just like that, Ben's already gone, off to answer the call of hero time once again. Now let's move on to the last Ben-10 movie, which is based on the recent animation style, and honestly, I never watched this series ever. Well, the movie was released back in 2021. The movie opens with Ben, already heat blast, going up against some thug piloting a balloon airship. He's barely even trying. He already knows exactly how this ends. The villain's whole plan is to crash his balloon straight into a row of buildings, and when his two robots show up to back him up, Ben takes them down without breaking a sweat, then drops the guy right into the arms of the waiting army. He swoops in to grab Gwen and Grandpa Max too, though both of them are annoyed with him for not taking any of this seriously anymore. Not long after, they get a call from their friend Phil. By the time they reach him, Phil's the one breaking the news. A massive asteroid is barreling straight toward Earth, moving fast, and if nobody stops it, the whole planet's done for. Ben's thrilled at the idea, and immediately proposes turning into Cannonbolt and rocketing straight out to the asteroid to smash it apart himself. It's not a bad plan, and Ben's more than capable of pulling it off, but Phil points out the obvious problem. Blow the asteroid apart out there, and the pieces could just rain back down on Earth anyway, causing just as much damage. And there's a bigger issue. Once Ben's out in space, how exactly is he supposed to breathe? He'd need an actual spacesuit. Phil pulls the transformation key out of Ben's watch, the same one needed to make all this work, and admits they'd had it inserted upside down this whole time. It needed to go in the right way to function properly. Before sending him off, Phil insists on running Ben through a full battery of tests first, to confirm he's actually fit for space travel. Ben does the whole thing as 4 arms, gravity tests, pressure tests, all of it, and passes every single one. With that settled, Phil slots the key into the Omnitrix correctly, and Ben transforms into Jettray, then upgrades further into an armored Omninaut Jettray. He tries out his wings first, then discovers he's got a built-in jetpack too, and takes off at incredible speed. Once he's ready, Ben launches straight into outer space while Phil, Grandpa, and Gwen watch anxiously from below to see if it'll actually work. Ben rockets toward the incoming asteroid, still bearing down on Earth, and just as everyone braces for the worst, the asteroid vanishes into thin air. It turns out it was never an asteroid at all, just a ship in disguise, and out steps Vilgax, hunting for Ben. Ben slips through the portal it leaves behind and finds himself adrift in open space, still wearing the suit Phil gave him, until a massive ship scoops him up. Inside, he's surrounded by Incarcean soldiers, a frog-like alien species, who take one look at him and assume he's Vilgax, accusing him of breaking every space law in the book. Ben tries to explain he's just a kid from Earth, not Vilgax at all, and makes a break for the main hatch, only for one of the soldiers to slam it shut with his tongue. Ben transforms into Humungosaur and fights back, even powering up into an armored Omninaut Humungosaur. But in the end, the Incarceans overwhelm him anyway. Back on Earth, Grandpa and Gwen head to the coordinates Phil gave them to try and track Ben down, only to run into Kevin instead, tinkering with something he calls the Omnitrix. Kevin brushes them off, insisting he doesn't need any help and can handle things solo. Gwen pushes back gently, telling him he's smart enough to figure things out on his own, sure, and that they've always butted heads, but deep down he's a good person, and they'd rather work through this together, with the added bonus of helping fix the Omnitrix along the way. Kevin comes around and agrees. Elsewhere, 2 police officers pull over a car, only for Vilgax to appear in front of them, smashing the vehicle and tossing it aside. Meanwhile, the Incarcean soldiers haul Ben in for judgment. Ben keeps insisting he's innocent, that he's not Vilgax, that they've got the wrong guy, but their leader isn't buying it, claiming they know exactly how to tell friend from foe, and that even if Ben looks like an innocent kid on the outside, deep down he must be Vilgax. To settle it, they've brought in Tetrax, who plays a video showing Ben transforming into Vilgax and tearing through everything around him. In response, Ben transforms into an alien called Slapback, but the Incursians catch him anyway with their tongues, and he's sentenced to 10 years rotting away in the null void. A portal opens beneath him and pulls him straight in. Back on Earth, Gwen and Grandpa are working alongside Phil to repair Kevin's Omnitrix when an alert comes in. Solar and Polar are causing chaos nearby. Kevin shows up before anyone else can react, transforms, takes both of them down, freezes them solid, and traps them for good measure. Grandpa and Gwen can't help but be impressed. But the moment Kevin steps away afterward, a car comes flying at him. Vilgax has arrived. The police clear out fast at the sight of him, and Kevin, realizing Ben's nowhere around, decides he's the one who has to fight Vilgax now. Vilgax demands Kevin hand over the Omnitrix, calling it his. Kevin refuses, insisting he built it with his own 2 hands, and shifts through a string of different alien forms to hold his ground. Meanwhile, in the null void, Ben runs into an opticoid-type alien, who wastes no time mocking him for landing here and looks ready to bully him further. Then more aliens close in, some kind of werewolf-type creature, Wildvine, and Ghost Freak among them, all ready to jump him. So Ben transforms into Jetray to make a stand, but his Omnitrix doesn't have enough charge left to sustain it, and he snaps back to normal right as they close in and grab him. Ghost Freak lunges for the Omnitrix itself, but gets zapped for his trouble, and Ben switches to Diamond Head to fight back, cycling through a few more forms as the fight drags on. Just as Ghost Freak's about to land a hit, everyone freezes. Azimuth has arrived, and every alien in the area scatters in fear at the sight of him. That's when Ben learns Azimuth is the actual creator of the Omnitrix. Azimuth asks for the watch back outright. Ben doesn't trust him and transforms into Heat Blast to fight him off, but Azimuth plucks the Omnitrix right out of his hands with no trouble at all and pockets it. Ben spends the next while trying to win him over, listing off every monster he's beaten and every time he's saved the Earth. Azimuth isn't moved, but after hearing enough of it, Azimuth finally opens up about his own past, how brilliant he once was, admired across the whole universe, and how his greatest creation, the Omnitrix, came together with help from his most gifted student, Vilgax. Somewhere along the way, something dark took root in Vilgax, and he started scheming to use the Omnitrix to conquer everything. That's exactly why he's still hunting for it now. Azimuth explains that once he realized what Vilgax had become, he sent the Omnitrix to Earth to keep it away from him, only for it to land on the wrist of, in his words, some kid, with Vilgax still coming for it regardless. Ben pleads with him, saying he just needs the watch back to save his family. Something about the word family seems to get through to Azimuth. He sets a timer on the Omnitrix, hands it over, and tells Ben he'll have to earn it back by passing a trial. Reach the other side of a long tunnel and get to Azimuth himself before the timer runs out, or the watch is gone for good. The moment the clock starts, Ben steps into the tunnel and rocks start raining down on him from above. He transforms into Wrath and tries to just outrun the barrage, but a giant rubber orb blasts him with a laser and traps him inside. He breaks free and switches to Humongosaur, smashing his way out, only for a wall of lasers to knock him right back. Next comes Ghost Freak, closing in fast, and Ben shifts into Wrath again to hold him off. But by the time he's dealt with it, the timer runs out before he can reach the other side. Then Ripjaws shows up too, ready to attack, only to lose his footing and start falling into the void on the far side of the tunnel. Ben can't just leave him to fall, so he transforms into Goop and dives in to save him. Watching this, Azimuth sees exactly the kind of person Ben really is, and even though he technically failed the trial, that act alone is enough. Azimuth hands the Omnitrix back to him for good and opens a portal so Ben can make his way home. Ben transforms into Shockrock, boosting into an armored Omni-Naut Shockrock, and rockets out through the portal. Along the way, he spots the Incursian flagship getting pulled into a null void rift and uses his power to redirect it to safety, but the effort completely drains him, and he passes out cold. Back on Earth, Kevin's taking a beating from Vilgax. He gives it everything he's got, but the moment Vilgax grabs Gwen, Kevin's focus slips just enough for Vilgax to rip the Omnitrix away from him. Instantly, Vilgax fuses with all of Kevin's collected alien forms at once, becoming anti-Vilgax and starts tearing through everyone one by one. The group makes a run for it in Grandpa Max's rust bucket, with Vilgax hot on their tail. Just as Vilgax is about to crush the van, it transforms. Glitch, the AI riding along with them, reshapes itself into a souped-up car, and Kevin uses it to throw Vilgax off their trail. That's when Ben finally comes to. The Incursian leader, Milius, personally apologizes to him, having realized Ben actually saved their ship from being pulled into a null void portal, proof enough that he was never Vilgax to begin with, just Ben. Ben tells them he needs to get back to Earth immediately, or Vilgax is going to destroy his planet. Milius assures him they'll get him there themselves. Back on Earth, Vilgax finally corners Kevin and wrecks his car, and he's about to finish him off when Glitch swoops and saves him just in time. Kevin suits up in Glitch as armor and goes after Vilgax again, but Vilgax still manages to grab hold of him. Up above, Ben spots Tetrax aboard the Incursian ship, and the two of them clash. Ben, now as Diamond Head, makes quick work of him. Once the fight's over, Ben tells him he's the reason he ended up in the Null Void in the first place, though at least it meant getting to meet Asmuth. The two part on good terms, and Tetrax heads off in his escape pod. Back on Earth, night has fallen, and Vilgax and Kevin are still going at it. Empowered by the Omnitrix, Vilgax has started terraforming the entire planet as they fight. Meanwhile, Ben throws open the main hatch of the Incursian ship, transforms into an armored Omninaut heat blast, and blasts through a wave of incoming fire, meant to bring the ship down before diving through the portal straight back to Earth. By the time Ben lands, Kevin's already lost his fight. Ben reunites with Gwen, and the moment he spots Vilgax, he transforms into 4 arms, and the fight kicks off in full force. On the sidelines, Kevin's feeling completely outmatched, so Grandpa, Phil, and Gwen rally around him, insisting he has to get back in there and help Ben. Vilgax gets the upper hand on Ben and moves to pry the Omnitrix key loose so he can slot it into the Antitrix himself. That's when Kevin steps back in to stop him, though even he can't quite pull it off, and Vilgax succeeds in inserting the key, growing even more powerful as a result, transforming fully into anti-Vilgax. Kevin manages to yank the Antitrix back from him afterward, but by then, the real power has already transferred into Vilgax himself. Ben and Kevin team up and go at him again, but Vilgax just keeps growing, eventually swelling into the massive form known as Alien V, and even together, the two of them get thrown aside like nothing. Feeling defeated, Ben gets word that Asmuth has arrived, standing alongside Milius, both of them fearing Vilgax is about to win outright. Even so, Ben tells Grandpa, Gwen, and Phil to clear out. The moment they're safe, Ben transforms into his favorite alien of all, way big, and goes toe-to-toe with Vilgax, trading blows and firing off laser beams from his hands until he finally brings Vilgax down for good, slamming him into the ground. Just as things start to settle, Asmuth arrives in space himself, takes hold of Ben's Omnitrix, and uses it to strip away all the destruction Vilgax had spread, restoring the terraformed parts of Earth back to normal. He hands the Omnitrix back to Ben and takes Vilgax into custody. In the end, everyone reunites and heads home together in Grandpa's rust bucket. Alright, that's the lineup. Do me a favor and hit subscribe. And I want to know which one's your favorite. Classic, Ultimate, Omniverse, or whatever this new gen stuff is that I still haven't watched and honestly never will. Drop it in the comments, and while you're there, tell me which one I should cover next. For now, I'm off to go repair my Omnitrix. Catch you in the next video. Till then, it's hero time.